Hello, welcome to Talking the Games. Just finished West Ham United 1, Brentford 2. The Bees winning the game in the 94th minute with practically the last kick of the game. Myself and Gonzo are going to discuss the highlights, but before we do, Gonzo, how you feeling?
I guess I'm feeling like Leeds fell last week. I guess I absolutely gutted, absolutely gutted. I had a load of things that I thought I was going to say at the end of this review when it was 1-1. Now it's just going to sound like sour bloody grapes. It was like we lost, but gutted, mate. Absolutely gutted.
Yeah, I think so. I think I agree with that. I think I'm a bit upset as well. I'm not overly surprised to some extent because I thought this was going to be a tough game. But I thought we were the better team in the second half, and I thought we got a point. I was coming on here, being around the 94th minute, the goal went in. I was coming on here to say it was a fair result, and I thought both teams played well, and it was a good game of football to watch. But now it's just like the enthusiasm for doing the video has almost been sucked out of you a little bit. You watch that go in. But anyway, let's do the highlights, though. They scored in the 20th minute, but the first 10 minutes gone, they could have had three. Mbeumo hitting the bar was probably the most notable one. Ivan Toney with a volley as well. Brentford they started fast.
Yeah, they did start fast. They were all over us, but that first 10 minutes, I've got to be honest with you, I'd record on video and I'd make the squad watch it on loop again and again and again because I don't know. I'm assuming we warmed up. We must have warmed up. I'm not saying that we would go into a game without doing a pre-match warm-up. I don't know if the ball was involved in that at all because we looked like we'd never seen a football before. Time and time again, we either just passed it to them or we'd launch it long and it would come back at us. So we gave them every encouragement they needed to perform this wave after wave after wave of attack. It was, I've got to tell you, that first 10 minutes was the worst I've seen us play in the last 2 years. I thought we were absolutely awful and gave them every encouragement.
When you start slow, you can sometimes get off with it if the other team doesn't start good enough. We started slow today, but I also thought Brentford were fantastic in the first 10 minutes. I think it's important. I'm trying to be balanced. While I'm gutted and I'm a bit pissed off, I'm trying to be balanced because we hate it when people say West Ham only win because the other team played poor. I thought Brentford were really good in the first 10 minutes. Probably the best team I've seen us play in a period of 10 minutes, over 10 minutes, that makes sense. And they were superb. They deserve to go 1-0 up after 10 minutes. If anything, just for the attitude, just for the fact that they came and had a pop at us and we didn't know what to do. We were lost and it was a bit frustrating, but they got the goal in the 20th minute. Gonzo, a fantastic through ball by Ivan Toney to release Canos. Good save, poor save from Fabianski. Depends how you want to see it. I don't want to put words in your mouth, hence why I'm saying it could be a good one or a good bad one. Pushed into the path of Mbeumo, who gets there, and Fabianski's perhaps a bit unfortunate not to get there just in time. It only just crossed the line by an inch, but 1-0 Brentford.
Yeah, look, I mean, the guy looked like he was going to score. We fancied him to score before the game. And you can't complain about that goal, really, because we were second to everything. We were, all right, the header was poor. We were second to pick the ball up from the header. We were second to pick up the spillage, let's put it that way, from Fabianski. You can't keep being second to everything and expect to do that. So they were faster in midfield. They were better. Buemo, whatever his name is, was better than our defenders. And look, I mean, I'll blame Fabianski for something else later. I don't particularly blame him for that one.
No, neither do I. I think it's a good save. He pushes away from the goal, unfortunately. And Bowen was just the fastest one there. Show me a goal, I'll show you a mistake, I always say to you. There's about 4 or 5 in this goal. It's bad. It's really bad. And it's not the first time our centre-backs were all over the place, really. Zuma and Ogbonna, that is. And there's quite often Ivan Toney and Mbeumo would switch over. And our centre-backs didn't know whether they were to run with the player or to stick in their positions and change who they were marking. And I don't know where Canos has come from here. Canos is the right wing back.
I think he's from Spain.
But anyway, he's running down the middle of the park unmarked. He's just running. And, whoever it was wins the header against Ogbonna down to Toney. It's a lovely through ball to Canos, but there's just no one marking him. He's just there. He's just running. And then, like you said, it's just becomes a bit of a foot race and a bit of luck with Zuma and Mbeumo. The luck's on Mbeumo's side, but it's keeps his composure, just gets over the line. 1-0 Brentford. But what were you thinking at half time? It was half time went in 1-0 down.
I thought it was awful. I thought we were terrible. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, actually. I thought we'd gone back in time. We jumped in a TARDIS and gone back in time. I really did. I thought I've praised our technique and our passing and all of that stuff for so long now. And I didn't know. I knew what the game plan was, but we kept on hoofing it, whether Antonio was there or whether Antonio wasn't there. When we tried to pass it short, I cannot believe. Look, there was nothing wrong with our attitude in that game. Let's just put it that way. In that first half, we were running, we were closing down, we were doing all the stuff, right? And I often say there's more to a game of football than just passing technique. I say you've got to win your tackles and your heading. And I don't disagree with that. But crikey, you've got to be able to control the football or pass it. And as I say, we look like we'd never seen a football before. There were so many culprits. And I've never made so many notes honestly, a whole time we've been doing Hammers Chat, I never made so many notes I made in that first half. If I was David Moyes, well, it's a good job I'm not David Moyes, because there would have been murders in that dressing room. I'm saying there would have been murders. If I could have made 11 substitutions, I would have made 11 substitutions, quite frankly. I thought it was a disgusting performance, actually. Adjusted, but not in attitude. I want to say that. There's nothing wrong with our attitude. But in terms of technique, you boys are professional footballers, and you cannot kick the bloody ball, and that's a massive hindrance, particularly when you're playing a team who can kick the ball and are moving it very, very quickly as well.
For context, we're talking about today's game only, because I know after what Gonzo says, someone's going to go, where are you? He knows that. We're talking purely about the 90 minutes we've just seen, all right? Before anyone gets on the high horse, just take it back in the barn for a minute. It doesn't need to come out just yet. I think one of the key factors, and this is why we're 1-0 down. We were 1-0 down because Brentford were better than us. It's as simple as that. We weren't good enough. Brentford were more than good enough. Simple as that. But the referee, I don't think was good. I don't think the referee was great at all. I think he let a bit of an iffy tackle go on Onyeka on Souček very early on. There was a studs up thing. He gave the free kick, didn't book him, fine. But then this is where he sort of set the message a little bit. And then Creswell went and did it. And it's like, well, you cannot book him because you just let him off. Then there was a couple of tasty tackles went in. I just thought the referee lost control a little bit. But what I will say, Brentford played to the referee a hell of a lot better than we did. Brentford soon clocked on what the referee was all about and thought, well, we're going to play up to this guy. We're going to... You saw it, the time wasting and stuff. And I say time wasting, they're good at it. It's an important part of today's football. They were good at it, even in the first half. But the referee allowed them to do it, so they kept on doing it. And I thought, good on Brentford to some extent, because that's what you've got to do. You've got to play the match. You've got to play the opposition. But sometimes you do just have to play the referee. We've got some players in our team that do it very well. Bowen, for example, we saw at the end, they barged into Tony, and Tony nudged him back, so he went down and got a free kick for it. That's how you play it. And I thought Brentford done well. As for us, we were 1-0 down against Leeds last week at halftime, 1-0 down tonight. But the difference in confidence was completely opposite ends. I thought we'd beat Leeds, even though we were 1-0 down, because I thought we were playing well. We had the better chances. I thought Leeds had one danger man in Rafinha. Stop him, you stop Leeds. Not Brentford tonight. They had Rico Henry, they had Tony and Embo up front, they had Canos coming down the right. And I thought, bloody hell, how on earth are we going to get back into this game? They're posing threats from all over the pitch. They went 1-0 up. They sat a hell of a lot deeper and said, what are you going to do? And our answer was, well, not much. We'll pass it about a bit, and then we'll get to Ben Ram and hope he shoots and scores. And it seemed like our game plan wasn't really existing. But there was 3 or 4 players I thought were just really bad for us today. There was some I thought played well. I thought we had some good performers in the first half. There was 3 or 4 really bad ones. And I would have liked to have seen Moyes send out a message to the team almost at halftime and say, right, you off. And then when I say you, I mean a big player. I don't mean Bowen or Ben Rama or like an easy substitution that he's done in the past. No, I'm talking Souček or Rice or Soufal. I would have said, one of you off. You aren't playing well. Off you come. And it almost sets a tone a little bit. It's all right, you've had a crap 45 minutes. You can have another half. Oh, yeah, they all got an extra 45 minutes. But I just thought that we accepted mediocrity, if you like, from our team in the first half today. And then, yes, they've had a fantastic season. They're in good form, but they weren't playing well in the first half, and they got to continue doing that in the second half. But, well, saying that, what do you before we scored, first 25 minutes of the second half, what were you thinking?
Well, I thought we came out with a better attitude, but I didn't think our attitude was terrible. I thought Moyes had clearly had a go at them. I felt we had more momentum in our attack, but it wasn't Leeds. And I made a clumsy comparison comparing Brentford to Leeds earlier on. Now, having seen them play, I certainly won't do that again. They were because Leeds just carry on playing the way they play. Leeds just play flowing football, don't they? They just attack. As you say, Brentford went bang. Right, that's not only are we going to do that, we're gonna kill every bit of the time in the play that we can, and that's what they were doing. So our attacks were almost hitting a brick wall, but not just because of Brentford, because of us. Because even though we were going for it a bit more, we still hadn't addressed our lack of a technique at this point. So we were just really struggling to break them down with any sort of quality at all. And it's quite clear. Look, Soufal redeemed himself a little bit when he pulled the cross back, which Bowen headed wide, right? But it's still a header wide. It's still a poor technique. And that can't mask how much he had given the ball away before that, Soufal. And I was really thinking, I thought Fredericks would have been on if we'd have had Fredericks. Got me saying, but that was the only excuse I felt Moyes had at that point. Why he hadn't looked at Fornals or Souček, I understand why Antonio. Again, Antonio. It took. I felt. What did I write down? It took until 40 minutes for Antonio to control the ball adequately. Right. I understand there's no substitute for Antonio. I get that. So Antonio stays on. There's no one else that can do his job, really. Why hadn't looked at Souček, Moyes I'm talking about here, and or Fornals and thought, do you know what, guys? It's just a bad day at the office. You can't kick the football today. I'm going to put Lanzini on or do something. I've no idea at all. Because when Brentford were defending well and our wave of attack were crashing against this brick wall, think, okay, let's just get a little bit more technique in there. Someone who can just play the cute pass or do something else. And he didn't do it. But we had momentum with us. I mean, we really did. We had good pressure, but alas, still no technique, Gio.
Yeah, I think so. I think second half we came out looking a little bit better, a lot more possession. But I wasn't sure that was because of West Ham. I was almost convinced it was because Brentford sat back and said, you have the ball now. We don't want it. You have it. We're not going to chase you about anymore. We're not chasing you about in your own half. We don't need to. We're 1-0 up. You have the ball. We're going to sit back. And what you're going to do, and we put some decent crosses and stuff. But the problem is, Brentford centre backs are really good in there. They were okay with it. We're a bit like that when West Ham gone defensive and teams start crossing it with us. We're like, if you want, we've got a Bonner, Dawson at the time, and I really had to do with Zuma. So we've got a Bonner, Dawson, Rice in there, Souček in there. If we're really up against our set pieces, we've got Antonio back. You think cross it all you want. It doesn't bother us. Brentford were a bit like that. I was like, well, you have the ball. You cross it. It doesn't matter. We'll just keep heading them away. And I thought the only time we looked dangerous was from corners. And that's not good. It's good to be dangerous from corners, but it's not good to rely on corners and open play. I just didn't feel confident at all we were going to create anything. I thought the poor performance in the first half continued to be poor performance in the second half. There was some players adjusted their performance a little bit, some up and some down. But I just thought we played into Brentford's hands completely, even in the second half, until even after we scored, really. We just played in Brentford's hands. I thought Thomas Franco's tactics spot on from the first minute up until the 94th minute. And they played the game. They played that 90 minutes. They played the referee. They played West Ham. And in the build-up, you said about how you heard Thomas Frank saying, I'm going to play my own game, I'm not worried about West Ham. They had a plan for West Ham, and they played it absolutely perfectly. And we didn't have a plan for Brentford, really. Our centre-backs were 6s and 7s. Every time Brentford went forward, I was worried Zuma was going to get a second yellow card. Yeah. Bonner was playing up. I thought he was going to get booked as well. I thought our centre-backs got took apart by their front two today. But anyway, we got the goal in the 80th minute. And what a strike it was, though, from Giles Bowen.
Yeah, I mean, fitting that it would come from a corner because actually it was the one bit of technique that wasn't failing us all game was Aaron Cresswell's delivery, which seemed to be spot on. Even when it got really, really wet, actually, he was still able to sort of manipulate the ball, which is obviously not going to be easy because it's slipping around all over the place. Great, really great finish, though, from Bowen. And delightful. And, I spoke about the first game where, we were Brentford, the first goal, Brentford were first to the second ball and all the rest of it. He was first to that header out, the header. He was on the stretch, wasn't he, the Brentford defender? Bowen was first to it. And you get first to that sort of thing, you then give yourself the platform to try and do something. But it was a really, really good technique. And he deserved it. He deserved the goal, I felt, because I felt he had no support. I thought he was right for a lot of the game. He was trying to create down that right side on his own. I really did. So, but a very, very good technique.
I thought he was our best player today, Jared Bowen, not just because of the goal. He looked rested. He had a big rest, obviously, on Thursday night, but you could tell he was the one that had the rest. Maybe because he's doing much, and because the other players were not doing too much, and they looked a bit tired. But I thought Jared was really good. I thought he looked dangerous all game. Sometimes he was dribbling past 3 or 4 Brentford players to keep possession and stuff, and holding the ball up really well. Like you said, another consistently good corner from Creswell. I was pleased to see Creswell taking them all. I don't recall Jared Bowen taking a corner tonight, and sometimes they alternate. The last game, Creswell was taking them until Bowen came on, and he started taking them. Creswell took them on. I thought he was hitting them into really good areas. Like you said, Pinnock gets to it, heads it down, can't close them down in time. But that volley, he hits it so sweet. He couldn't get closer to the post without hitting the post. He hits it an inch above the ground. It stays an inch above the ground until it hits the net with his weak foot as well. It's just such a sweet strike from Jared Bowen. It's a really nice finish, that 1-1. Then there's 10 minutes to go, and it gets a bit scrappy. It gets a little bit scrappy. Brentford, Thomas Frank plays his last 2 substitutions, gets some fresh legs on there, including Wissa, who we'll talk about in a minute. We don't make any substitutions, but it gets a bit scrappy, like I said. Antonio goes really close with a header. Were you thinking we were going to pinch it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I did think we were going to pinch it in the end. I did, yeah. I thought momentum was all with us. Not only momentum was all with us, that it was a game of 2 halves. It really was, and ours was the second half, of course. And also, I felt in the first half, Brentford tried to win the game with football. I felt in the second half, Brentford tried to see the game out with cheating, both. So they had a very European vibe about them, and it was, I spent a lot of time on the floor and all that. And I thought, it was a point I thought it's going to work, right? Because you're not hurt, but you're down and clearly staying down anyway. But then I thought, this may well hurt you now, because when we scored that goal, when we scored to draw it 1-1, I thought, okay, they've then got to go again. So can you now switch it from naughty mode back to football mode? Which is what I say. That's probably what Leeds did wrong last week. Leeds just stayed in football mode the whole time. Wave after wave attack coming from us. It looks like we're going to win now. Are you going to be able to switch it and be able to start attacking again? And they did. And that is, they reminded me like an old Serie A team from the 80s, 90s, that sort of thing, to be able to switch from one mode to another. And that's why they'll be fine. They'll stay up, because they're not. That's why I made it a clumsy comparison. They're not Leeds. Not I think Leeds will go down. I don't. But this is not the same thing at all. They will kill a game stone dead. If they need to, they will take every bit of momentum they can. If they'll grab 3 or 4 minutes here or there. You know what it's like, and they'll stay down, and then the guy has to be taken off the pitch, and he stands by the side of the pitch with his arm up, and then he has to come back onto the pitch, and there's all of that type of play, which I know is part of football. It's not against the rules at all. Crikey, I watched an absolute exhibition of it when I watched Man City against PSG in the week, and had to switch it off. I thought it was horrendous, actually. And when it's your team facing that, it's so frustrating. And I understand Brentford have got to do what they got to do to stay up, and I do think it will be successful. And I don't mean that that's their only way. They do have goal scorers, they do have skillful players, and I think you're right. I think they've got some robust defenders as well. But I thought there's no way they can keep this up, because I just thought, that in the end, Antonio was going to knock one in or whatever, or they had more chance of him knocking one out, to be perfectly honest with you, by the way the game was going. But yeah, we're just really frustrated at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought they were okay with a point even after we scored. I thought Brentford thought we're okay with a point here. A point's a good result for us, and I thought they were still almost playing for one. They didn't seem to get any more advanced. They've still played deep, still stuck to their game plan, which is we'll defend, and if we can counter-attack, we'll counter-attack. It starts with Rice getting a yellow card from stopping a counter-attack. They get the ball forward again. Ogbonna gives away a free kick, trying to do something Italian-y, if you like, blocking the run of a striker. Yeah. Concedes the free kick. It comes in. Janssen gets his head to it. Fabianski parries into the middle of the box, and there's Wissa, a super sub, if you like. The guy that I told you, the build-up, didn't I? He keeps coming on and scoring, but they can't get him in the team. He's come on and scored again. A lovely finish as well. Another half volley, another really sweetly struck hard shot into the corner of the net to win it for Brentford in the 94th minute.
Absolutely. But come on. I mean, I've sat here criticising footballers who can't kick a football, and we've got a goalkeeper there. That's a catch. That's a catch. I'm telling you, go now. Go on to go. Well, I was going to say go to YouTube. You're on YouTube already. Go and watch. Go and watch the top 50 catches from the cricket in the last round of matches. Go and watch them. Just go and watch anything where somebody's using some hand-eye coordination, where a ball's travelling really, really quickly. And then tell me that's not a catch. I mean, it's ridiculous that somebody cannot catch the ball like that. Why that ball comes back out, I don't know. This was not a 70-mile-an-hour shot. It was a header that came at that height. Seriously, honestly, my 7-year-old daughter, if I take a beanbag and do that at her now, she'll do that and she'll catch it. I don't know why, and you can't do that off the back of spilling the ball a couple of weeks ago as well. I'm gobsmacked that ball wasn't caught, and too few times. And actually, the ridiculous thing was, when a couple of crosses came over in that second half, I thought Fabianski caught the cross as well. So I thought he was actually in catching mode. I thought he's not in parrying, flapping mode. Nobody will ever be able to convince me why that ball wasn't just caught. It was not a stinger. It was a catching height. It was a header, not even a particularly powerful header either. Just catch the ball. It's done. It's over.
My criticism isn't that he didn't catch the ball, because it's difficult. Janssen's only 6 yards away from it, and it's a reaction save more than anything. But if you are not going to catch it, make sure you punch it. Make sure you get distance on it, not into the middle of your 18-yard box anyway. Do not slap the ball. That's what he's done. Arsenal fans call him Fabianski for years, and we've seen it sometimes at West Ham. You get a little glimpse of it tonight where he just pushes it into the middle of his 18-yarder. Doesn't excuse for the poor defender. No one's picking up with that at all. All of our players have followed the ball. The ball's come down in the box, and all of a sudden all our players are in the 6-yarder, and there's only a Brentford player running onto it in the 18-yarder. My criticism of Fabianski here isn't that save. It's actually before the save. The fact he stood on his line, the ball's coming into his 6-yarder in the 94th minute. This is where you want your goalkeeper to be commanding, come out and catch it, punch. And if you can't do that, make sure you get fouled. Make sure you throw yourself into an attacker, hit the deck, and give the referee a decision to make. Because he didn't do that. He stood static on his line and thought, well, hopefully one of my defenders get this. And we didn't. Bang, 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 2-1 Brentford. Anyway, full time. Before myself and Gonzo talk about the game and individual performers, we'll be doing our player ratings for Patreon later this evening at 9 p.m. So Patreon, if you're watching, 9 p.m. we're doing our player ratings. We're going to talk about a few of them to keep this review a bit shorter. And if you wish to become a patron, the link is in the description below. Go to patreon.com/hammerchat. From £3.60, you get more videos, including the player ratings for every game, as well as a weekly Patreon podcast and much more. Details are in the link below. Gonzo, let's skip to the player to speed time up a bit. Skip to the players. Pick 2 or 3 players and talk about them, please.
I love Fornells. I think he's going to be. I mentioned it. I thought he'd be one of my players of the season. I think he'll be at the end of the year up for Hammer of the Year. But you can't be such a favourite that you can't identify when he's not playing well. He couldn't pass the ball. He kept on giving the ball away. Not only that, they were sharp, fast. Brentford, a lot of fast players. You've got to identify this guy's not quick enough to play against this team on today's form. It's not an overview, like you say. That you want to go and look at the European review from a couple of days ago, you'll hear me praising Fornals. This is a game-by-game basis, as you mentioned. And on this game, Moyes should have identified that, get him off, do something else entirely. I can't. I've got to, I'm gutted about Soufal today. I'm absolutely gutted that he played like that in this game. I was disappointed about a centre-back partnership was operating. Certainly, Fabianski, I've just spoken about. There's no point, Antonio. There's just no point. Do you know what I felt, Gio, of a few of them? And I'll take this to the two Benrahma shots. I didn't think Benrahma played badly today. I wouldn't class him as one of the guys whose technique deserted him. But do you remember I used to say with Felipe Anderson, he'd sort of go for a pass, but half commit to a pass. So it just wouldn't have the full strength. He'd try a pirouette, but he'd do half a pirouette. The nutmeg would be lazy, just never really committed to a skill. I felt all day long we did that. The passes were lazy. We didn't ever go bang, there's a decisive pass, apart from Cresswell, as I say, with his technique. I just thought there were a couple of times when Benrahma was through, I just thought it almost felt like he just wanted to hit the target or not miss. I thought, go on, bang, top corner, rifle it in, do something on that. But, I mean, not to overly criticise him, I felt there was 6 or 7 players who played a lot worse than Benrahma today. Let me just get that straight. It was just something that I noticed. And I've got to say this, otherwise I'll end up the review not really saying enough about David Moyes, who got this really wrong today. Souček should have come off the pitch. He should have taken him off the pitch and should have put Lanzini on. I mean, he just should have done that. Or whatever, brought Crow on and just not pushed Rice up the pitch because we were getting outnumbered, but I've done something tactically. Do you know what I mean? Because there were too many players who just weren't playing well at all. But I did. I looked in that first half and I thought, Fornals, Soufal and Antonio, not clever at all, and Souček as well. So yeah, that I wasn't impressed.
Yeah, you can almost take a pick for players that didn't play too well, unfortunately. I thought that was Soufal's worst game in the West Ham shirt. I would have had him off at half-time. It was stupid stuff as well. He was just miscontrolling. He was knocking a yard in front of him, standing still, and then fouling the player in front of him that nipped in. He was just really bad. It doesn't mean he gets dropped for the next game. It doesn't mean he's a bad player. It just means he's having a stinker of a game. It happens. If it's taken this long for Soufal to have a stinker of a game, we've done bloody well. But bear in mind, Ben Johnson's just had, in my opinion, an unbelievable game on Thursday night at right back. I'd have had Soufal off, Ben Johnson in, knowing that Johnson's in good form. I said, that's all right. In you go, Ben. Here's your chance. This is what you're waiting for. In you go. Souček, as you say, not great. I thought the centre-back partnership was all over the park today, but I'm willing to sort of give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they came up against a really good strike partnership today. They've come up against 2 strikers in good form. Perhaps not goal-scoring wise, they've come into good form in terms of cohesion and that. And that's something Zuma and Obona don't have yet. They don't quite have that partnership yet. They're only a handful of games in together, so I'm willing to sort of let them off a little bit. I thought Antonio played well, actually. I thought in the first half, the one slight positive we did have is when he ran in between the centre-backs and we were finding him with a long ball. We were able to shift the play up the pitch quickly. Second half, he absolutely done Janssen at one point. And, I've not seen a striker bully Janssen physically. Antonio gave him a hell of a game in the second half for it. He got his pass right to Pablo Fornals, who just hit the defender. I thought Antonio done a lot right today. The only thing I'll say with Benrahma, and I agree with Gonzo, he's one of our better players. He comes out with pass marks for me, Benrahma. That's 6 or something out of 10. He did okay. I wonder if the occasions got to him. At Brentford, the biggest criticism of Saeed Benrahma was he goes missing in big games. The playoff final being the prime example. He didn't turn up whatsoever. And today, Brentford made it a big game for Saeed Benrahma by lauding him. In the build-up to this game, Brentford players were happy to praise Saeed. Oh, he's the best player I've ever played with, kind of thing. I don't know if the pressure's got to him. I don't know if the pressure's just got to him a little bit, and he's, like Gonzo said, he's played it safe, tried to not make an error, and doing so, that means less risks. And in doing that, it means less good stuff comes out the end of it, because in order to get the good stuff, you need to take risks. And I thought Benrahma played it safe. But again, I'm willing to attribute that down to the occasion a little bit. But that's not good. That's a bit of I could be wrong, but Brentford, he certainly didn't turn up for some of the big games there. Bowen was my only man in match, really, for West Ham. Any final words from yourself, Gonzo?
No, look, it's frustrating. You lose, as I say. First thing I said in this video. We know how Leeds felt, don't we? Now it's gutting. It's gutting, and you know what? I guess it's our turn to be on the end of a result like that. It's not that. I think you just think you're going to turn up, and I think you'll accept losing maybe if you've turned up and you've played your best yourself. Do you know what I mean? But not kicking the ball properly and not catching it and stuff like that. I think, all right, okay. It makes it hard to deal with, I think. So yeah, just all round disappointing. But West Ham's fault, absolutely West Ham's fault today that we didn't play better. But not to take anything away from Brentford, who I thought, particularly in that first half, played excellent football. I do think they'll be all right. It gets a bit annoying, G, when you've got a team that to lose to. It is hard to lose to a team like that. Bearing in mind what they did in the second half, it makes you frustrated, and you can hear the crowd saying, "Come on, just get up!" and pleading with the referee. You almost plead with the referee. Please look at what they're doing. You can literally see Bowen trying to carry the referee over, say, "Look what he's doing. Look what he's doing." But the referee, as you say, was duped by it all. So it makes it all the more frustrating. Hopefully, we'll be a bit wiser when we play them next time, which I'm not looking forward to because they're a good team. They'll be absolutely fine. We need to up our game. Tough game next against Everton.
Yeah, we've got to scratch this one off. Bad day at the office from a lot of people, including the manager, as Gonzo said. I thought Thomas Frank was winning the game of tactics, if you like, in the first half. Didn't really change anything in the second half and didn't use his bench at all, which is the most disappointing thing today, actually. Is there's a lot of players today who played poorly and got off with it, essentially. They've been allowed to play poorly. Moyes could have sent a bit of a message. He had an opportunity there. He actually had it on a plate to get Johnson on the pitch, to get Vlasic on the pitch, to get Kral on the pitch, because it's hard when the boys are playing well. It's hard to get these players in the team. But today they were playing badly. It was quite easy for Moyes, actually. If he took down 3 subs and the subs didn't work out, we ended up getting beat, he'd be more within his right to stand there in his post-match interview and say, "Well, I thought the 3 players that took off weren't playing very well. They weren't playing well, so I put new ones on. They also didn't play well, but I've done what I thought was best." I think the manager has to take some of the responsibility for today's defeat, just for today's defeat. But I think most of the responsibility must go to the players on the pitch. I think Bowen's the only one that comes away with good grades, if you like. I thought Rice was quiet as well. I thought Cresswell was good at set pieces, but quiet in open play. Bad day at the office for West Ham, but we'll write it off, go again after international break. And I was worried today is where all the game time for the season so far will catch up with us. And I felt that a little bit today. I felt like that we were just a little bit tired, a little bit leggy. It's not ideal. But bear in mind, in seasons gone by, I've sat here talking to Gonzo and saying, I don't care if we drop points, if we've got European football. I don't care. I want European football. But now I've got European football. I can't now turn around and say, well, I'm pissed off that we're dropping points because we've got European football. So it sort of makes this defeat slightly easier to suffer because we're playing European football, because we're winning games in European football. It softens the blow prior to the game, if that makes sense. But a disappointing performance, a disappointing result. Shall we leave it there, my friend?
I think so, mate. I think so.
Right, if you enjoyed the review, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Myself and Gonzo will be live on Patreon at 9 p.m. this evening, doing our player ratings for everybody that played today, including the manager. Catch you in a bit.